Okay, so I'm going to make a couple of curves. I'm going to go to my side view so I can create a CV curve. So I want a 3-degree. So let's say you make one part of this kind of a sort of Middle Eastern window type. So I have like a fragment of that, the left piece. I want the I want to make another one, and I want to make this. I want to mirror this. So for me, the best thing to do is to mirror like on the spot here with like a shortcut. So I like to move the pivot point first. The pivot point is like in this area. I'm going to hold down the D key to move it. Actually, D. You have to be careful not to rotate the pivot point. That would be sort of catastrophic. And you only want to do it only on specific occasions. So hold down the D, hold down the C, middle mouse, and get the pivot point up here. So now the pivot point, you know that it's exactly there. So I'm going to duplicate that, Shift D, and I want to mirror that. Now I have a duplicate there, and I want to mirror it. So I want to mirror it minus this axis is the z-axis pointing to the left. I want to mirror it on the right, so flip it to the right. So -1 on the z-axis. So now I have like this kind of element. How can I make geometry quickly out of these two things? So I'm going to go straight to a polygon piece. So select it. So I'm going to select the first curve, then the second one. Go to Surfaces, Loft. Reset the settings. So usually what you get is NURBS. You make NURBS objects. So I mean, I could do that. So I get this piece. Looks like a planar surface. I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to use polygons, quads, general, apply, and I get this, which doesn't look at all like my curves. So what I'm going to do is go and refine that. If I go to the NURBS tessellate, I can use the U number to refine this mesh. Sort of like that. So now I can go and look at this, evaluate it. And what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to see the edges. I'm going to select it. First of all, I'm going to reverse it because it's actually looking the other way. So reverse the geometry. Here's my polygon. I'm going to turn on the wireframe unshaded. And up here, everything is quads, everything. So these are quads, but these are triangles. So if you want to eliminate the triangles, just select the edge and just delete it. So now I have one, this is a quad. 1, 2, 3, 4. So everything is quads here. So let's say I want to open a window. So let's select a bunch of faces. These, and these. So I'm going to select all these faces and extrude. Give it an offset and then delete the interior part. So I made a frame very quickly. And then I do that. Now what I have, not only I made the frame, I can actually go and select this curve, go Control Vertex, Shift select that one, click Control Vertex, and select these and start playing around with the design. Maybe I want it to be more like that. So I have all these options now. I mean, this is a very good modeling technique because you can actually design anything you want with curved profiles. Now let's give it some thickness. So I can select this piece and extrude it. So I'll give it some thickness. And I can actually, even if I smooth it, it looks really, doesn't look like a window frame. It looks like it's too soft. So now what I want is I can actually bevel everything. So like this whole area. Okay. I'm only selecting the outline, only what needs to be beveled. So all that stuff. I mean, Yeah, I don't think I need that, but I could do that and see how it looks. So I can go edit mesh, bevel. Maybe not that part actually, not this one. So I'm going to do everything else except that piece up there. So fraction, I can do 0.4. I can do 2 segments, so I can make can add a little bit more. So if I press 3, now I get this. This is a little bit better, but notice how the tension is stretching down here because there's not enough support. So we need to go get our edge loop tool, add some edge here. I like to go, if I want to make it really strong, like very creasing wise, I go in and hit the border and move a little bit back. Don't leave it there. So hit the border, move back. So both ways. 1, 2. This is exactly what I want you to follow in terms of detail. Now if I press 3, now I get a very nice piece. And of course you can if you had like a building, now you have your element is finished, and you can actually create a bunch of these elements. So that's like a loft. Of course, you can do a lot of things with a loft. Here's another way. You can make a whole design out of lofts, a series of lofts. You can create a CV curve. And let's make this one. I switch from linear. I don't know exactly where I'm going here. I'm just like creating different types of curves. Linear. Now here's how I have these 4 curves, and I'm just designing stuff. I don't know where exactly I'm going, but I can select all of them and cut them. I can go curves, cut, and get rid of the stuff I don't need. This is a very convenient way to work. So let's say I like this piece and I want to make it 3D. That's the fastest way that you can create a lot of organic design. So I can select all, I'm going to select all the curves and center the pivot point. Now I select these 2. I'm just going to hit loft. And I'm going to use the same options. Cubic, quad, general. Apply. Creates like a really bad looking, not a very good looking polygon, but you can go and tessellate it. Kind of maybe like that much. And then you can go and extrude it. And all this is a very clean mesh. I create anything I want from these lofts. I can create a more complicated loft, meaning I can have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of designs. Like for instance, I can create, I like to have the settings here so I can switch from 1 to 3. So I'm going to start with a linear curve. And now I'm going to switch to a cubic curve, so I'm going to continue the design here. So that might be a part of a stone building that has like a ledge. So these 2 things, how can I work on that? How can I make a 3D model? So I can select these 2 curves, center the pivot point, duplicate. Okay, so now I'm going to select the linear ones first and do a loft. That's good enough. I don't want it more complicated. That's what I wanted. But these ones here, I want another loft. But that one I want it more sophisticated, so I'm just going to go tessellate it more. So notice that I created this piece. Now if I wanted to close it, I could, let's see if I can use like a linear. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but I'm just going to select this piece. Now I'm going to hide the polygons for a second. And now I want to loft and close this shape. So here's a kind of another technique that I kind of invented sometimes on working. So I just go and start cutting things. So I'm going to use the curve point and cut this curve up here. So I can say curves, cut, detach, detach. So I have this curve and that curve. Maybe this curve, this is a test. I mean, it might work, it might not. I want to loft from here to here, but not all the way down there. So I'm going to go curve point. So I select areas that they make sense. So from here to here, I can actually make a loft. From here to here, I can loft. And let's see what I get. A little bit strange, but it works. See, the thing is, let's reverse that. Oh, actually, sorry, that didn't work. I should have deleted the history before that. It's okay. So I'm just going to delete all these pieces. So I'm going to do it one more time. I don't want this. I'm going to delete that. So let's go back. So from here to here, I can loft. Oh wait, curve points, curves, detach. If you want to detach a curve, you do a curve point and you cut it. So surface is loft. So that's one. So the thing is, you could actually do a little bit, and then you can clean it up. The cleaning up is not a big deal. So you can actually loft these guys. Now this is a little bit tight, but at least you're getting a lot of good definition. So cleaning up this thing is not a big deal, actually. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. So first of all, I'm going to reverse these two. So what you could do, you have the curves in the back. I just want to turn on the wireframe unshaded. See how easy this is. You just select and roll it on the curve. Select and roll it. So you create geometry and then you kind of clean it up. I don't know if this makes sense, but I mean, this is an amazing technique to work with. Yeah. This is a very good technique because it will actually save you. I mean, a lot of design issues depend on this technique. And then the cleanup is really takes nothing to do. So these two, I can even combine them. Mesh, combine. I can center the pivot and extrude. I mean, I wish I knew this technique before. You know, when I started working on Maya, because it took me not twice the time, 10 times the time to get to the point that I create some intricate design like this. This took me like a minute and something to make an organic shape and a flat shape all together with geometry that is like completely clean. Nothing is, everything is quads here. So you can actually, that means that you can actually bevel it and actually let's get this guy. I'm going to merge it first. And I can actually bevel this geometry because it's all cleaned up. And not only bevel, but smooth it too. So I'm going to move around, double click only on the border edge. Level. And it didn't work. Something is wrong. So let's see. Let's go back. Okay, no more undo. We'll go back to this. Something is wrong on the profile. So if the bevel doesn't work, something is wrong with the mesh. So let's look at this. So basically what's wrong is that this was not connected. When you combine stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean it's connected. So you want to go ahead and merge these pieces. So merge. And where else? Over here. So it should be fine now. If I select this guy and move it, it should be one vertex. You can do like a quick sort of test. Press 3 to see if it works. Okay, so now I think it should be fine. So center the pivot point, delete the history, extrude, and it should be working. Now it goes all the way to the end, so I can see that the edge loop is working. So that took us a little bit of more time because I had to go back and refine the mesh. Whenever you combine something, that doesn't mean that you have to also merge the vertices. So now I have everything, all the pieces, all the outlines selected, so I can go edit mesh, bevel. So now the bevel works. When the bevel works, that's a very healthy mesh. So 0.42. So you can see now I can even press 3 and I can get a nice smooth effect. That's like a very clean, that's a clean geometry. So this is, I'm going to select it and I'm going to say, I'm going to create an annotation. So it's good to create annotations and say this is like a loft, multi-loft linear cubic curves extrude to poly. So I like to make these kind of annotations again because when I come back after a year and I see, okay, how did I do this? No way to remember. No way. So there's so many formulas that you guys are going to invent as you work, and you need to kind of record them somehow. A small annotation is really good to do because it says, okay, I did a multi-loft linear and cubic curves extrude to poly. Okay, at least I understand something here, some code language. So I'm going to save that, and stop the video.